7:41 a.m. and and we have a paper and Fuhad Saheed will be joining in. Move on to mainland focus where we pick of the conversation. We're live on the papers. I trust that I hope that you're taking loved ones. Let's look out for each other's hands and grow to Saheed father. How are you doing? Are you surviving to yesterday? A lot of people
Yes.
were running into filling stations trying to stock up.
Panic mode, yes.
Yes,
Yeah.
but it's also not safe to just pile fuel inside your house. I hope people also. I also would advise that let's try not to just pile jerry cans of petrol.
Well,
Trending stories that we have this morning. I'm starting with the Guardian newspaper, and of course, the major headline: Nigerians groan as higher fuel prices shrink incomes and worsen poverty. I think that's expected when you have to start paying as much as 600 to 700 naira per liter as it is now. So at this point now, I don't think can you fault Nigeria Labour Congress for asking for 200,000?
it was 488 now.
Just as it's off to break things down, box. So you
True.
for 20 liter, about 25,000, 70 liter. The Guardian is highlighting here.
Many of us should be shocked about. There was a particular fuel, and I told prices will continue to go up. The 40. The second one will be and in the same breath after it's accepted to buy these PMS into the country, the prices will continue to go up. Sandra, we have always questioned the decision of this president, President Bola Ahmed Tinubu, removing subsidy the way he did it. We've always talked about this, we've analyzed it, we've said it, that look, things that concern humanity, that concern the well-being of the people, should be done methodically. It's not something you jump into without thinking it through, especially the implications. It's not unfortunate that we forget things too easily. Before this removal of subsidy, pre-election period, stakeholders in the industry have continued to tell us that, look, heading towards it, we are going there already. Yes, even less than 2 months, we're already at 670. In some other stations, 700, depending on where you are buying the fuel. Are we not close to 1,000 naira?
Hello?
Yes, are you with me?
Yes.
Can you hear me?
Yes. Oh no, now I can't. All right. Well, whilst we try to get Fuad back online, I think there's some issues with the full line from his side. Well, the conversation is as regards the major trending story on the front page of the Guardian newspaper, which says Nigerians groan as higher fuel prices shrink incomes and worsen poverty. The story is on page 6 of the Guardian newspaper, and highlighted on the front page is a breakdown of how the average car fills up with fuel. That's where we are at this particular time, and he's trying to put things into perspective as regards why we have to go through what we are going through now based on decisions of our leaders. Yes, Fuhad?
Yes, Sandra.
Okay.
Sorry, I think the line just
All right.
missing. This fuel situation is enough to make anything easy. but let us look at this, Sandra.
But sorry to cut you, but you said a whole lot. I have to come in here because the report is saying that NNPCL is blaming the new pump price on market forces.
Did we vote for market forces? Did we vote for market forces?
But
you see, I was going to. My goodness, Sandra. Just imagine you go to the bank. You saved your money in the bank. There was no problem. And on the day you want to withdraw, you get to the bank and they are telling you the server is down. Did you give your money to the server? You see, Sandra, on the most on the most serious now. You see, since yesterday I've been talking to experts in the oil industry, people who should really know. And everything goes back to one thing that we have been talking about. You don't have to be an expert in the oil industry to know this. Sandra, as long as we are not refining locally, simple English, don't let anybody bamboozle you with market forces, with all manner of statements and what have you. Semantics. The reality is that as long as we continue to import refined fuel into this country, Sandra, we will continue to be in this mess. We'll continue to be in this mess. Sandra, we have 3 refineries in this country built by our founding fathers. And the reason why they built those refineries was to ensure that we are not in this situation. So that whatever happens in the international market does not affect us. That was the reason why they built those refineries. As an oil-producing nation, Sandra, our 3 refineries, the one in Warri, Port Harcourt and Kaduna, has a refining capacity of 545,000 barrels per day of crude oil. An average of 450,000 barrels per day. Sandra, if you do a Google search or you make your research, if we concentrate on PMS alone in those 3 refineries, a barrel of crude oil per day will give you about 159 liters of fuel. Just 1 barrel of crude oil, if you refine it for PMS alone, to give you an average of 159 liters per day. So it means that if those 3 refineries were working to capacity, and it was only PMS that were refining from them, we should have an average of 76 million liters of fuel per day coming from those 3 refineries locally. Remember, Sandra, we own the crude. The crude was given to us by God for free. The crude is under the ground here in Nigeria. We are not importing crude oil. The only problem is that we cannot run refineries. Even there are countries in the world that does not have crude oil. They have functional refineries. We built 3, like I said, 3, built by our founding fathers, our former leaders, to ensure that we have self-sufficiency as far as PMX is concerned locally, so that all of the instability in global crude oil market will not have serious impact on us. Now, our GMD or CEO NNPCL, the only excuse he could give for this situation yesterday is that, market forces, and that, prices will continue to fluctuate and all of that.
Yeah.
Look, Sandra, it is very simple. No price is going. Look, the simple truth is that prices will continue to go up.
All right, Fuhad, thank you very much. Prices will continue to go up if we are relying on market forces. But then, just a very quick one. I'm sorry, I have to deviate a bit. So this 8,000 naira now, do you think it will go up now that the price is still the price of petrol is still going up?
Well, to the glory of God, I think the president has listened to the cry of Nigerians and well-meaning Nigerians. And the report is that the decision is already being reviewed. It didn't say it has been cancelled. The 8,000 naira thing is now a subject of review. The government is saying they are going to review it.
All right.
Because I think, good for people who were criticizing us for making the comments about the 8,000 naira. I think they can now understand what we are saying precisely. So I think to a great extent, we need to at least appreciate the president for giving us a listening ear and listening to Nigeria. And so that policy is now under review. Sandra, I say it again. When I kept saying, take care of yourself, take care of yourself. And before the election period, I was saying it, Nigerians, can we sit these people down and ask them critical questions? Ask them the how about some of these policies they are throwing at us. A lot of us did not listen. Here we are now. This day was bound to happen. I've seen people talking about party, ethnicity, and all of this. No! All of the major presidential candidates said they were going to remove subsidy. All of them agreed. And it wasn't only them. The entire political class, from governors to senators to House of members.
Yes, but the question is we never got to find out how they were all going to do that.
And we were shouting, let us ask them the how. And here we are now.
The conversation was mostly on someone who can enter America or not. Let's move on now. Still on the front page of the Guardian newspaper. This is Trends in the Papers on mainland 98.3 FM. And moving on now, still on the front page of the Guardian, we have lawmakers probe alleged 2 trillion naira non-remittance by NNPCL. So the House of Reps yesterday raised an alarm that NNPCL will willfully withheld public revenue of about 2 trillion naira. Uduak Udodo, who raised the allegation in a motion, accused NNPCL of disrespecting and downplaying the collective intelligence of Nigerians. And just before we move on this particular conversation on the fact that let's also remember that the FAAC some time ago accused NNPCL of shortchanging them by refusing to pay over 2 trillion from crude sales, royalties, and taxes. But you know, the NNPCL came forward and said, "Oh, Nigeria is even owing NNPCL 2.8 trillion naira in subsidy." So,
what do you now?
What, exactly. So, what do you think of this allegation from Ududo?
You see, Sandra. I think it was Ajibola Yusuf, our energy expert.
Yes.
You know, that once, and I keep holding on to that statement. And he said that, look, Fuhad, if you decide to go into investigating the rot in our oil sector, especially the NNPCL, you get more pessimistic about the future of this country. That if you decide to dip your hands into it, look, remember that even Chief M.K. Abiola, the late Chief M.K. Abiola, even when he was campaigning over 30 years ago, talked about the oil sector and specifically mentioned the NNPCL. Its operations shrouded in secrecy, mystery, so much corruption, in a simple matter as crude. He said it was a simple matter as crude that God has given to us for free. So I'm not surprised that, look, there are no remittances. We have always questioned the operations of the NNPC. And that was why some of us even questioned the manner in which NNPC was already transited into NNPCL. You know, I've always questioned that decision. That why the hurry? Why are they running into transiting from normal NNPC to NNPCL? Up till now, where is the board? Who are the board members? Again, this is why Nigerians are agitated. This is why Nigerians are frustrated. When you live in a country where the government continues to tell you to bear with them, endure with them, tighten your belt, and on a daily basis, indicators of corruption, fraud, stares you in the face with so much impunity, there's no way you're not going to get agitated. And it is very important that the president to speak back. President Bola met my biggest appeal to him this morning, Sandra, is look, if the president's re-election thought that there was a conspiracy against him not to get to that position, he should know again that the people that he thought were conspiring against him have not stopped. The conspiracy is still ongoing. That if he had thought that there was a conspiracy against him not to get to that place, those people have not backed down. The conspiracy is still on. The cabals that he thought were working against him are still working, and they will continue to work. He needs to win Nigerians to his side. Let the poor breathe. Bring up policies that will help the people. He should be careful to listen to these people. Because indeed, they may be setting him up against the people. It is very important for the president to pay attention to these things.
All right, thank you very much, Fuhad. Let's move on now. Still on the front page of The Guardian, we also have here Senate to unveil Tinubu's ministerial list today. And that's on page 6. So after 50 days in office, with less than 10 days to go, the president has sent a list of his ministerial nominees to the Senate. And they'll be read out today by the president of the Senate, Godswill Akpabio. And it was gathered that the clerk of the National Assembly, Magaji Tambuwal, received the letter containing the list yesterday. Let us not forget that as mandated by law, the president has to submit, or is obligated to submit, his ministerial list within 60 days of assuming office. And this is after his inauguration, which was May 29. And so that means he has until July 26 to fulfill this requirement. So the list, they said, has been ready since, but the president had to make some changes in some states and all of that. You know, if you've been following political roundtable, you've been following the conversation as regards whether or not the president has been going through some political pressure and all of that. But then, well, there's been a lot of, hearsay, let me put it that way.
The list is with the Senate now.
Yes. So. Oh. So the list is widely anticipated by Nigerians. A lot of people would like to know who will be heading what, who will be in charge of what. Yes?
I'm sure by tomorrow morning when we're reviewing the papers, the list would have been unveiled. Let me use that word. Yes. And so I think we can now have a more holistic and robust conversations about it. I don't want to speculate anything. There's a lot of lists out there, although the government has described all of those lists as fake. So let us just wait for the unveiling of the list, or the the revelation of the names in the list, and then we can now have a proper conversation on it.
Well, according to a source, the first batch of nominees to the Senate is ready for confirmation in order to beat the July 26 constitutional deadline. But then it said that they had some issues with some states, and prominent among the states that's giving the president some sort of dilemma is Kano State. After weeks of consultations and political engineering, it has emerged that political arch rivals and former governors of the state, I'm talking about Kwakwanso of NNPC and Ganduje of the APC, will be nominees representing both Kano in the northwest zone in the cabinet. We'll see how things turn out, whether it will be my party member, or or for the good of
these are just mere speculations.
Exactly.
I'm not really a fan of working with stories with unnamed sources. Because again, I tell you that some of these things are deliberately planted in the story for different things. So let's just wait till when we have the names, and then we can have a proper conversation.
Thank you, Fuhad. And finally, from The Guardian, we have again, Abia State government identifies 2,300 council ghost workers save 200 million naira monthly. And that's all from The Guardian newspaper. You're listening to Mainland 98.3 FM. This is Trends in the Papers. We're looking through major trending stories on the front pages of our dailies. We're just through with The Guardian. Don't forget that we're live on Facebook and YouTube, so you can watch the program live. Share your thoughts in the comment section. You're allowed to do that. We'll take them when we come back for Milan Focus by 8:40. In the meantime, the major headline on the front page of the Punch newspaper: NLC, TUC lambast Tinubu as fuel hits 630 naira per litre, shun negotiation. The riders to that, we have Labour kicks against 8,000 naira palliative, says Tinubu deviated from making Nigeria better. NNPCL defends new pump price, filling stations short, queues resurface in Abuja and Lagos. So still on the fuel conversation. Exactly. In Abuja and Ondo, for instance, the cost of petrol jumped from 537 to 617 to 630, forcing the cost of transportation to skyrocket within hours, leaving thousands of passengers stranded in many cities. The Nigeria Labour Congress, the TUC, and many other citizens have lambasted the president-led federal government for being so tough on citizens by allowing the continued hike. Although the NNPCL and the NMDPRA, that is Nigerian Midstream and Downstream Petroleum Regulatory Authority, which are both federal government entities, explained that market forces caused the hike in petrol price. And since the commodity had been fully deregulated, that is why, we are experiencing...
Sandra,
yes,
if Nigerians catch their market forces.
All right, so independent oil marketers confirm the increase as stated by any shift in price by NNPCL. This is because as of now, NNPCL is still the major importer of petrol into Nigeria, though other marketers are gradually importing the commodity. But just as Fuhad had mentioned earlier on, we still
continue to import. Sandra, you see, import. You are using Sandra.
Yes.
We commissioned the Dangote refinery. How many days ago did you commission the Dangote refinery?
Just about 3 months ago.
Okay, and it has a capacity of 650,000 barrels per day. Ordinarily, if that refinery was working and it was producing PMS, I think that should be giving us about around 10 million liters per day. And but are you aware that Dangote has an import license to bring PMS into this country? You don't know. I'm speaking for a fact.
Wait, he has license to import?
Benny.
But he has
a confirmed
refinery.
The refinery too.
What's going on?
Don't worry.
Don't worry. But no, but
you see Sandra.
I'm with you.
I'll continue to say.
We should go and take care of ourselves.
No, that one is sacrosanct. That one is there. I can't remove that. I'll continue to repeat that. Please, let's just take care of ourselves. And I think that again, the president needs to sit back and understand that, look, Nigerians are expecting a whole lot from him. The fact that, the government is not even making a refinery, I've said it. It's either for him to sell the refineries off, concession it, or privatize it. He has all of those options, the three refineries. Because again, I was looking at a particular report this morning, and all of the money that we spent, Sandra, on turnaround maintenance on the refineries in the last 2 decades would have given us 3 brand new refineries of 450,000 barrels per day. The money we spent on turnaround maintenance and repairs and all of that would have given us brand new, 3 brand new refineries of 450,000 capacity per day, barrels per day, refining capacity. So again, the president should make it a priority. We need to, as a matter of national emergency, find a way to begin to refine fuel locally in this country. So that again, Sandra, look, there are things that we are going to save ourselves from. Please, just a minute. We are going to save ourselves a lot of hassle. We have the crude, Sandra. If we have working refineries in Nigeria, whether by private investors, concessionaires, PPP arrangements, or what have you, we can as a country decide to sell crude to them at reduced rates. You know, was it not in this same country, Sandra, that we were doing all swap, giving our crude out to people free to get refined products?
We were.
And the reality
are we
is
no
that,
longer doing that? I thought we were still doing that.
I don't know. I think we stopped that. I think it was announced that was to be stopped immediately. But if we were that reckless, to the point where we were giving our crude out to people free on an oil swap deal to get refined products, so it means that we can as well, if we have functional refineries in Nigeria, to give our crude. You know, we don't have to work with international market rate. It's our crude, for God's sake. And that was the reason why these refineries were built in the first place. So all we needed to do was to look at our own local situation. As an oil-producing nation, Sandra, there's nothing wrong in buying PMS at a rate that helps the people. Subsidy is not the problem. Subsidy is never the problem.
Thank you very much, Fuhad, because we now need to go into the Nigeria Labour Congress reaction to that, threatening to take matters into their own hands following this recent price increase. The NNPCL, in a statement issued by its national president, Joe Ajibola, accused the Tinubu-led government of taking from the poor to pay the rich and unleashing suffering, hardship, and sorrow upon Nigerians. It said they've restrained themselves from making further comments publicly on the vexatious issues around the recent but unfortunate unilateral hike in the price of petrol. It said quite a whole lot, but then they're saying that it is on this basis that the NLC strongly condemns the decision and to seek the approval of the National Assembly to obtain another tranche of external loans. It's a whole lot that they're saying here. And then they're also going for the TUC also blasted the federal government, saying that the country is now headed towards economic woes. And the Vice President, Tommy Etim, said, "We're entering one chance. It is unfortunate that the government is insensitive to the plight of the commoners and the poorest of the poor. You can see that fuel, which is essential to the movement of goods and services, including the informal sector, have continued to fluctuate in price." So at this point now, so many reactions. Nigerians are as well reacting to the recent price, especially with the statement of the NNPCL saying that, oh well, market reality. So the conversation now is surrounding deregulation and pricing, forex issues, availability of forex, and also most importantly the third factor, which is what is happening or what is going on with our refineries. Because in the past 2 months that we've been having conversations, no one in the federal government has said anything as regards whether or not are we even still maintaining, are we still what's the other word that they're doing to the refineries. So many questions. But then more
Sandra,
yes,
Sandra, the government needs to pay attention. Again, when you look at the body language of the NNPCL, GMD, or CEO, as he wants to call himself, he likes to make serious issues look as if they are not serious. Remember when he was talking about, when people were asking about refining locally, when he said, oh, it doesn't really matter, even if we refine locally, the prices are going to be marginal, it won't be substantial enough and all of that. The same thing was what he was doing yesterday. That, oh, no, it's just about market forces, this thing will continue to happen, the fluctuation, blah, 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 and all of that, And you see a man who is not in tune with the reality of Nigerians, suffering Nigerians. Probably he's overfed, so he doesn't really understand what Nigerians are going through. And that's the same posture you see from the political class. Again, when the political class already have about 40 billion to buy SUVs for themselves, when they can appropriate 70 billion to themselves, they probably would not even understand the reality of Nigerians at this time. Nigerians are suffering. Nigerians are groaning. And they are being pushed to the wall. That's the reality. Go out there and get the fillers. The roads are empty, Sandra, as we speak. And the roads are empty means there are implications on businesses. Businesses are being stifled. Businesses are going to fold up. Unemployment will go up. Inflation rate is jumping. In fact, that one, they are managing that data. The inflation figures are heavily being managed. If you put it to integrity test, you know that inflation should be about 40% already. So Nigerians are talking to the president and he needs to listen.
Thank you very much, Fuhad. This is Midland 98.3 FM. You're listening to Trends in the Papers. We're looking through major trending stories on the front page. We've not opened the phone line yet, so please hold on. We'll open the phone line by 8:40 when we move on to Midland Focus, so you can share your thoughts. I see that we are getting messages and calls are coming in, so let's just hold on. We'll be right there in a bit. Still on the front page of the Punch newspaper, we're looking at North Central, Southwest ex-governors may replace Adamu and Omishore. So this is as regards party politics in the APC with the resignation of the national chairman of the APC and also the secretary of the APC, National Secretary Iola Omishore. So the new leadership of the APC has written to intimate President Bola Tinubu on the postponement of the long-awaited National Caucus and National Executive Committee meetings. And as it is now, aside from the offices of the National Chairman and Secretary, there are other positions that are presently vacant, which includes Deputy National Publicity Secretary, which was formerly occupied by Murtala Ajaka, who is currently running for the office of Kogi governorship on the platform of SDP. And also vacant is National Welfare Officer, which was previously occupied by the late Friday Nwosu. So, as it is now, National Vice Chairman for Southeast, Dr. Ijoma Arodiobu, noted though the ruling party would eventually hold their convention, they, however, stressed that the caucus and NEC meetings were of priority. So whether or not, I'm sure very soon they'll be able to fill all of those spaces, but that is the update for now as regards, APC party. More details on page 9. Moving on now, we also have here, CBN deletes 2,698 BDCs, that's Bureau de Change, in 1 year. And that is on page 21 of the Punch newspaper. So very quickly, what we have is that the CBN has released an updated list of Bureau de Change dealers approved in the country. According to the list, which was published, the total number of approved BDC operators reduced to 2,991, which means that the licenses of 2,698 BDCs has been withdrawn. All right. So it was also observed that operators had grown from 74 in 2005 to 5,600. So which means that under the new administration now, a document titled Policy Advisory Council Report advised an implementation of key reforms in raising the capitalization for BDC operators. Another suggestion was that the CBN should allow Nigerian banks to operate as primary dealers to supply the forex market. Fuhad, what do you think?
Well, that was for the CBN and BDC operators to sort out. The reality is that no singular reforms will solve this problem of forex, availability of forex. No singular reforms will solve it. So the reality is that it's about what we earn and what can be available in the forex market. So if there are BDCs that don't have the capacity to perform, if the banks acting as BDCs would help in any way, I think the CBN should look into it. Again, these are just minor regulatory policies that the CBN can sort. it's not even the major priority of Nigerians at this time. The CBN should just find a way to sort that out.
All right. Thank you very much. More details on page 21. We also have here military threatening to demolish 5,000 houses. Ogun communities tell assembly, and that is in Ogun State. And the detail, or further details on page 10 of the Punch. So just very quickly, the lawmaker representing Abeokuta North State constituency, Babatunde Tella, on Tuesday called the attention of the Ogun State House of Assembly to a petition by 20 communities in his constituency alleging planned demolition of over 5,000 buildings by the Nigerian army. According to the lawmaker, the military accused the house owners of encroaching on an expanse of land belonging to the Nigerian Army Division 32, Alamala Barracks. So now they are calling for the intervention of the assembly over the matter. I think we'll leave that to the state governments.
What can happen again is this, because if you have over 5,000 houses already built, it will be very sad to demolish that number
All
of houses.
5,000, exactly.
Especially in a country where there's so much housing deficit. So I think what can happen is for the military authorities to work with the state government. I think the state government needs to intervene on behalf of the people. Work with the military authorities to look at that expanse of land, whether another land can be allocated to them. And so what can happen is to allow those that have built the house to ratify, maybe pay some amount of money for what they've done. But to have 5,000 houses pulled down in a country where people are really struggling to build up houses and all of that would be a very sad one. The military can have another expanse of land in Ogun State. There's a lot of land in Ogun State, which can be held by the state government, and then allow people ratify, pay for what, maybe just pay some amount of money for the land they have occupied illegally. But to pull them down would be a very sad one. The government should please help these people. 5,000 is a lot. 5,000 houses is a lot.
It's a lot. I agree. More details on page 10 of the Punch newspaper. Let's move on now. Still on the front page. Finally, now we have troops kill 2 IPOB fighters, arrest 5 in Delta. And that is on page 8 of the Punch newspaper. So no fewer than 2 fighters of the Eastern Security Network, which is the military wing of the indigenous people of Biafra, were on Monday killed by security operatives in Asaba, Delta State. The director, Army Public Relations, Brigadier General Oyema Wachuku, disclosed this yesterday, and he said the ESN members were killed during a confrontation with a combined team of Nigerian Army, the police, and the Department of State Services personnel in the Fuji Junction area of Asaba, Delta State. And he said that they actually responded to a distress call from residents in the community, and on getting there, the ESN members engaged them in a fierce gun battle, adding that due to the superior power of the security agents, the criminals withdrew to their hideouts. All right, that is the report.
Well, the military have said they are going to go after troublemakers in any part of the country, criminals and troublemakers. They've said it. The Chief of Army Staff is talking tough already, and he said it's going to be fight to finish. So I assume that that's the new resolve of the military to go after these criminals. Because I consider them as criminals, really. So if you're killing people, taking up arms against the people, against the state, you are considered a criminal, and that's what we see. So the military just doing their job, as they should.
All right. Thank you very much, Fuhad. You're listening to Trends in the Papers on 98.3 Mainland FM. We're having a conversation as regards the major trending stories on the front pages of our dailies. We're just through with the Guardian and the Punch newspaper. We're moving on now to Vanguard newspaper. We'll do this up until 8:30, and then we'll come back by 8:40 for Mainland Focus, where you get to share your thoughts as regards the focal points for the morning. Don't forget that we are live on Facebook and YouTube, so you can drop comments in the comment section as regards the conversation that's going on air. So at Mainland 98.3 FM on Facebook, at Mainland 98.3 FM on YouTube. Thank you very much. All right, let's move on now to Vanguard newspaper. The major headline there: anger as petrol hits 568 naira per litre in Lagos, 617 naira in Abuja, and others. Now, the riders go, motorists, commuters groan nationwide. Market forces driving up petrol prices, says NNPCL CEO Kiari. Adds, no shortfall.
I give him it's Mr. Market Forces.
No shortfall in petrol supply. That's what he says. That we have enough supply. It's just,
He's always saying that. He's always saying that. Okay. So
And
if there's enough supply, so what is the market forces now on this one? If we have enough supply, so what is driving the price up?
What are the market forces? I'm interested. Are they spiritual? Are they physical? I don't know.
No, they'll tell you that they'll be regulated, and so it's just everybody bringing in fuel, and so everybody setting their own price.
I know. It's all right. It's just the word.
Market forces.
NMDPRA blames rising crude prices on freight costs. Ipman worries over.
The NPC say it doesn't matter. The freight costs and all of that, it's not enough. Even if we find locally, it's still going to be the same. Forgetting that we are paying in the matter in dollars for all of their security on maritime. We are paying landing costs. We are paying freight costs, transportation costs. All of the costs we are not even importing. Added to that is the issue of forex and the fact that the crude would have to be sold at international price if you are importing. And the NNPC JMD CEO is telling us it doesn't really matter, even if we refine locally. I think we need to check that man, that Mr. Market Forces. It needs to be checked.
It's okay. Ipman worries over fresh rise in price. NLC rejects new pump price, says it is provocative. Adds situation will worsen poverty and hardship in Nigeria. Local refining is the only way out, and that's coming from NECA. And that story is on page 5 of Vanguard Newspaper. So I'm more interested in what NECA has to say. So just very quickly, the story is on page 5 and page 28 and 29. Okay, and 29. All right. So on its part, the Nigeria Employers Consultative Association (NECA) said the federal government should concentrate efforts at local refining to address the increasing cost of imported refined petroleum products in the country. And speaking at its 66th annual general meeting in Lagos, President of NECA, Mr. Taiwo Adeniyi, urged the government to immediately review the current status of the 4 national refineries and establish modalities for privatization. Okay. Just as Fuhad has been, trying to, establish is the importance of local refining. Rather than dollarizing, crude or dollarizing fuel, generally speaking, let's make it a naira situation so that we buy at 1 naira, we sell at 2 naira, and everybody knows that there's no market.
Are we not in advance of the crude? Is the crude not here in Nigeria?
Be selling to ourselves. When you said that somebody has refinery and the person has license to import as well.
You know what's standard? Just imagine you have yam, and because you want to eat pounded yam, you can't buy mortar, and then you now give it to your neighbor to pound, and then go and buy pound. How does that even make any sense? If there's no conspiracy against the people of Nigeria by some people, how does it even make any sense? And they come up brazenly to say these things. They are so happy to talk about it. They talk about it with so much arrogance. And then you look at these people and you begin to question their thinking pattern, their education, whether they even like the people at all. What is the social contract for governance? It is not about the welfare of the people.
Thank you very much, Fuhad. Thank you. I like the analogy that you used there. It's very simple. I think a layman out there can now basically understand what all of this is all about. So you have yam at home and you want to eat pounded yam. So then you give your neighbor to pound the yam.
Pound, and then you buy pounded yam.
You now buy the pounded yam from your neighbor. That's just basically what all of this is all about. And then imagine now your neighbor is not, in the same vicinity as you. Your neighbor is probably.
You have to take transportation.
So you have to pay for transport. You have to pay delivery fee for the yam that you sent from your own house to another place. So,
you first thing,
so that's a good analogy. Thank you very much for that. So more details on pages 5, 28, and 29 of Vanguard Newspaper. Moving on now, we also have here subsidy removal. Tinubu orders review of proposed 8,000 naira cash transfer, and that is on page 17. And now we also have above the masthead, court ask EcoBank to pay Honeywell 72.2 billion naira damages That's interesting. Just very quickly, for what I just quickly like to look at that
If
particular.
you want to talk about rich people fighting themselves, okay, fine.
No. I just to let's see what what
But
exactly
you have your story.
is going on here.
I'm just thinking more about the divorce situation.
Yeah.
Well,
We're all thinking about it, Fuad.
not somebody that anywhere should pay money to us.
So it's all right. I can't even find the story on page 9.
You know how much I filled my tank yesterday, Sandra?
Yes, I should tell everybody. Okay, I should not tell everybody. All right, so that people will not come and follow you and think that you are. Somebody said that anybody that is carrying Uber now, the person is probably is doing spiritual money, ritual money.
I'm even more concerned about people using V8 vehicles. People riding V8 vehicles.
Oh yeah, that yes. I was having a conversation with I think one of our engineers, Sinatra, the other day, and he was explaining to me the different
engine capacity.
Engine capacity. Yes, exactly. All right.
You do V8 now, you're a big man.
Well,
even V6.
Maybe they should go and buy Marwa. Even Marwa now is expensive, Fuad. So I don't know.
And I understand why countries, when you go to countries like Benin Republic and the rest, you see their rich men riding Okada, small Okada.
Yes, so.
Yes, a big man. He's going to a banker, the manager of a bank, you see them on Okada. I now understand why.
Or inside Marwa.
But in Benin Republic, I think they have dedicated lanes for Okada and all of that.
Yes.
You can't try that yet before downfall will push you into the canal.
In fact, if they just press horn like this, Marwa is low. Anyways, moving on, still on the front page of Vanguard newspaper, exchange rate, foreign scholarships to be suspended for 2 years. Says.
Is anybody still getting scholarship?
I didn't even know that. That's why I saw it, and it was actually a very interesting one. But TED Fund is highlighting that foreign scholarships have been suspended for 2 years.
Better stay back home and read what you want.
And I mean. Reps to security agencies stop setting vessels with stolen crude oil on fire. Somebody has finally said something. But as regards this particular one, the conversation is a lot, Fuad, because they said, we have to set them on fire because people.
What of the crude? The crude inside,
they said people will still steal it.
Still, when you've already arrested it.
Well, according to them, the reason why they keep setting these vessels on fire when they catch them or when they nab them is that if they seize it, that it is still some unscrupulous people behind that will still go and buy it in corner and
is that bad?
I'm trying to make sense of it.
So that means even the security guys don't even trust themselves.
That's
so just set it on fire.
So just set it on fire. There's millions and millions of liters of crude, and then you discover it. Now instead of prosecuting the people that
even
you find,
even the vessel, why do you have to set the vessel on fire? You can refurbish it, take over the vessel, commercialize it even if need be. It becomes a national asset.
That conversation is still very, very controversial. Why do you set vessels with stolen crude oil on fire? Why? What are you trying to hide?
Both the crude and the vessel you set it on fire.
What are they trying to hide? What is happening is that those are the line of thoughts of some average Nigerians. But the truth is, the question is, why are they setting vessels with stolen crude oil on fire? It's a very, very serious question. And the reason is that, if you leave it, they will steal it.
That reason doesn't make any sense.
It's okay. That's what they are saying. Well, more details on page 9 of Vanguard newspaper. I'll leave that at that. That's all from Vanguard. And very, very quickly, what we have trending on the front page of New Telegraph. Shock, outcry, despair as fuel hits 670 naira per litre in Abuja and 500 to 68 to 700 naira per litre in Lagos. And that is on page...
in many rural areas in far-flung parts of the country, Sandra, I can tell you now that, in those areas already, they don't even buy it at this rate you are talking about. So, I spoke with somebody, I think, in Nasarawa State, one other person in Borno State, and they're saying that, look, in so many interior areas, fuel is already selling at 800, 900 naira per litre.
Well, more details on pages 2 and 28 of New Telegraph. Still on the front page of New Telegraph, we also have Senate probes multi-billion naira contract on sea incursions in Ondo, saying the federal government is owing TED Fund 323 billion naira. That story is on page 7. We also have EFCC disowns police lawyer who filed criminal charges against Stella Odua. That's on page 29. We also have Nigeria ranks low on in cost of living makes top polluters list. That's on page 5. And finally, Nigerian constitution military, not democratic. And that is coming from PDP chieftain Bode George. That's all we can take this morning. Thank you very much for staying with us, but don't go anywhere. We'll be back by 8:40 for Mainland Focus, where we'll pick one or two major trending stories, or even more major trending stories, flesh things out, and then open up the phone line for you to join in on the conversation. We'll also be live on our live streaming platforms. But in the meantime, please stay with us. We'll be right back. This is Mainland 98.3 FM. My name is Mobola Sandra, and I have Saheed Fuhad via the phone line. Stay with us.